Hey guys, what's up? Yes, I know it's an audio recording. Camera's downstairs. I don't feel like dragging it out. Shut up. Anyway, and besides, I know it's the audio recordings. I tend to sound better anyway, so it's probably because the microphone's like right. I'm wearing a headset when I do audio recordings. Anyways, before I start this, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that I had to ban somebody from my channel. This isn't something that I have to do very often, thankfully, but every now and then it happens. And I think you guys already, if you've seen the chaos that happened yesterday under well, at the time, latest video, that one, Yes, I Know We're Different, you should probably have a good idea who got cut. I just don't tolerate racist bullshit under my channel. That's something that people already know. But it's not just that. It's when you're just absolutely belligerent about it. That's what really sets me off. I mean, there are a couple of people who come and say some stupid shit and then quickly leave before I can give them the axe, and then it's like, okay, well, they left, so there's really no reason. Or they'll say some stupid shit and then we'll respond to them back, and then they go away, or they stop saying it, and that's fine. But when you are just, I don't know, freaking hammerhead stupid, it's one thing to be a racist idiot. That automatically puts you under my target sites. But then when you not only are a racist, you try to back it up with some of the biggest load of pseudoscience bullshit I think I have ever read. And then when you're pointed out that that science that you're using isn't accurate in the least, and you're told, you know, can you cite a source? Or if you can't cite a source, then can you shut up and actually read the research that you're trying to quote from before coming back over here and trying to show it? When you're told that and by even other people in the science field, when even people in the science field are telling you you're wrong, and you're not only gonna ignore them, you're gonna insult them, you're gonna come up with stupid insults like faggot, and then the next day you come back and repeat the exact same bullshit that we just called you out for again, you deserve the axe. You know, at that point, it's like, you know what? Goodbye. I hacked her off at the knees and sent her on her way. Now, I may be a tyrant on my channel at times, but I am not unkind. I at least gave her some parting words as I gave her the boot, basically telling her that, look, you don't know shit from Shinola. You need to go back and study this shit. Go the fuck back to school, crack open a biology textbook, and understand what genetics is and how it actually works before you try to comment on it here. Oh, man. What really cracks me up is that I haven't even hit her with the real, like, if you read my comments and, you know, there's a bombshell that I could hit her with that I know would really, really set her flying, but she's not ready for it yet. Hell, she's not even ready for the basic genetics yet, so she needs to go back and read a fucking textbook, but that's not what this recording's supposed to be about, so F that. Let's go on to a more pleasant topic. Now for something a little different. We were driving home yesterday. Well, I was driving and my wife was in the car along with my son. Just driving home last night, and we were listening to the radio. Now, I don't listen to the radio much. Well, normally I wouldn't listen to the radio much, but ever since one of my old busted mini disc players was stolen out of my car along with the tape adapter, I've had to listen to the radio more often. And yeah, you could just say, why don't you just buy another tape adapter? Well, that costs money, and it's something I don't have. Anyway, we're driving home, and we're listening to an oldie station. It's one of the few stations that me and my wife tolerate. Strangely enough, it was an oldie station that went all the way up to the 90s, but I guess the 90s are old. So we're driving home, and Lenny Kravitz comes on. It's the song, Are You Gonna Go My Way? And it's an okay song. I mean, it's got a nice beat. You can nod your head to it. It's got a good riff. I like the guitar riff in it. But as we were listening to him, my wife's mouth kind of twisted in disdain, and then she was like, you know, this guy is trying way too hard to sound like Hendrix. And I had to agree with her because, yeah, he was. In fact, I even later on decided to look up the video for this song. Because, I mean, I've never seen the video, and this is actually my first time hearing the song. I don't really follow Kravitz. For anybody who's a Kravitz fan, I don't follow the dude. I'm sorry. I mean, and sometimes every now and then I hear a good song from him, but many times it just feels like he's trying too hard. I don't know. That's just me. But I went and looked up. I listened to the song. Well, actually, while we were in the car, I had to agree with her. It did sound a lot like Hendrix, or at least it sounded like it was trying to be like Hendrix. And then if you look up the music video, it definitely has that vibe, like that kind of '60s vibe, and the people in the band with the afro and the one white guy with the white fro. So it had that vibe to it. And my wife is like, he's just trying way too hard. This is going back in the car. He's trying way too hard to sound like Hendrix, and he's failing at it. And I had to agree. But then I had to think about, why was he failing at it? Like, to a casual listener who knows a bit about Hendrix and who's listening to this, they'll be like, well, it sounds like something Hendrix might play. Yeah, it sort of does. But there's one major thing about Kravitz's song that makes it fall short if you compare it to a Hendrix song. It's that his song is too clean. Seriously, go and listen to that song, and then go listen to one of Hendrix's songs, and you'll notice that that's the difference. Kravitz's song is way too clean. There's none of that grunge. There's none of that dirty funkiness. There's none of that growl to the music, and none of that reckless abandon that Hendrix would sometimes throw himself in. Well, almost all the time throw himself in. He loved to improvise. There's very little of that in Kravitz's song. It's very regimented. And it's not like Hendrix hasn't done anything regimented himself. I mean, one of my favorite songs that he's done is Manic Depression. And that follows a very militaristic-like drum pattern and bass line, which I just absolutely love. But even in that song, you can sense, especially during the breakdown in the middle, Hendrix just wanting to fly off the handle, which he does a bit. And even with that military progression, there's still that growl and grunge and dirtiness to it that really makes it kick. This is something that I've noticed about music in general. People like it when the music is dirty. It doesn't matter what genre it is. People just like it when the music is just down and dirty, for lack of a better term. And it's not dirty. It's just the sound. The sound of it in particular has to be down and dirty. And those of you who listen to a lot of music know what I'm talking about. So after that song had finished playing, another one played, and I don't remember what the name of it was. Oh, okay. Now I know what it is. My wife just gave me the name. Toto, Love Isn't Always on Time, which is a song that is a bit dirtier and a lot more simplistic, but it still was, there's a passion to it, and we like that one better. And me and my wife, all the way home, started talking about how music is just better with that grungy, dark sound, when suddenly I had one of those epiphany moments. It caused me to stop in mid-sentence as I was talking to her. And the epiphany moment was this, that, well, this is what I'm thinking. This is what kind of hit me in the head on the way home. That the reason why we seem to like music when it's grungy is because that's the way life is. Think about it. That's pretty much what life is, down and dirty and raw and grungy. The same way we like our music. I mean, and this is with any, to go back on the music thing a bit, this is with any genre. Think about, like, for those of you who are hip-hop heads, think of, like, the golden age of hip-hop back when, should I say the golden age of sampling, the late 80s, early 90s, when you had cats like DJ Premier, making some good shit. Premier himself said that the reason why he liked sampling from a certain time period, because, like, the 60s and 70s or so, is he says that's when the sound was really raw and dirty and funky, and they didn't make music like that anymore, so he felt that he had to go back there to get that sound. People like that, and it's not just hip-hop or electronic music where we happen to like a dirty sound. Like jungle, for instance. I know a lot of junglists got mad at when things started sounding more cookie cutter and cleanish with drum and bass. Or rock. I know a lot of people who prefer classic rock to a lot of the newer rock, because the classic rock is down and dirty, and then the newer stuff just sounds way too fucking clean. People like it when it's dirty, because when it's dirty and grungy, it's real. it just feels, more authentic. And that's the same way with life. Because life is down and dirty and grungy. And when I'm saying those terms, I don't mean it in the way that other people might use those terms when describing life. Like usually when they say that life is dirty or life is grungy, they tend to talk about like this crime and violence and a lot of hurt feelings. All the crap that people complain about when they talk about today's ills. But that's not necessarily what I'm talking about, though I will include all that in there because that's life too. But what I really mean is, well, okay, it's kind of hard for me to put it into words, but think back to some of your favorite moments in life, especially those of you who are older who are listening to this. At least 25 years of age. Think back to you know some of your favorite times in life, and I guarantee you they weren't cookie cutter moments. They weren't perfectly regimented, and they certainly weren't clean. Especially if you happen to be thinking of good times you've had at night. You know exactly what I'm fucking talking about. Some of the life is down and dirty and grungy. And I mean that's the essence of life. That's what it is. And the more raw it is, the more we tend to, find common ground with it. The more we tend to appreciate it, especially anything that's supposed to mimic it. Because music is an art, and art tends to be an expression of life in a way. Well, I should get into a topic on art later, but that's something for another time. But where am I going with this? Talking about how life is grungy and dirty. Well, I happen to think that just like we don't like our music to be too cookie cutter and clean and regimented, I'm thinking that those who truly appreciate life don't like it when we do it with life either. There's too many people these days who keep trying to regiment life into these perfectly ordered categories. Hell, we're having a current debate on that right now, aren't we? And the more people try to put things in these regimented categories and say that, okay, this has to go here, this has to go there, this is the way life is, and this is the hierarchy that we're setting up, and this is the order it's got to set up, and that's the way it's perfect. The more they do that, the more they tend to fuck things up because that's not the way life goes. That's not the way it seems that life is. Life seems to be just a bit of a discombobulated mess at times. The only real order that's put in place is by nature, and we're following that particular order even though we don't exactly know what that order is. Which leads to that kind of glorious mess that's life. And the more we try to compartmentalize things in it, the more we tend to lose sight of what we enjoy about life. I know it's kind of hard for us not to do that. We're human beings, and we have minds that are pretty much geared towards putting things in categories. It's what we do. It's how we define things. It's how we define our world and, what's all around us. And even science, the field that many of us, respect, is a lot about defining things and trying to make sense of the world around us by putting them into certain neat little categories. However, we have to be careful when we do that because if we're trying to put things in categories, we're also trying to put it into a certain order. And many times we tend to completely F things up when we think that when we come up with a certain model of order that simply doesn't follow what life is. And we don't even know exactly what life is anyway. So to try to put it in order is kind of ridiculous, isn't it? Life is a glorious mess. Just like really good music is a glorious mess. And the more down and dirty things are, and I'm hoping you guys understand at least what I mean by down and dirty. It's hard for me to explain in words, but those of you who like really listen to some damn good music, I'm hoping this analogy is hitting home. This is, I don't know any other way to say it. Right now, this is me as real as I possibly can. Like if you were bumping into me in the street, we're having a conversation in a cafe, this is the way I'd be talking to you about this right now. Life is a glorious mess. And while it's, useful for us to put things in order so that we can at least find our way around a little bit. I mean, that's what human beings do. You tend to lose a little bit of the character and flavor of life when you clean it up way too much. You tend to know a lot more about a person when their room is a bit messier than when it's completely clean. And usually when it's completely clean, it turns out there's something a little wrong with the guy, isn't it? Anyway, I've rambled on that long enough. So, yeah, catch you guys later. Oh, you guys are still here. Okay. Since I was talking about Hendrix, real quick, if you really want to get an example of just how different Hendrix is from Kravitz and why Kravitz keeps falling short when he tries to listen to him, as well as if you really want to hear Hendrix at one of his at his best, that's probably one of his glorious best. Listen to House Burning Down. I got a lot of favorites of Hendrix. I mean, there are other songs I can pick also that would probably do the same thing, but House Burning Down, the intro, the outro, the whole fucking song really is amazing. But if you really want to hear chaos put to melodious sound, listen to the intro, listen to how he barely restrains himself throughout it, and then prepare yourself for the end. This is for the people who have not listened to this song before. The ending of the song alone, I think, would kill motherfuckers on an acid trip. Seriously, look it up. I know it's on YouTube. Jimi Hendrix, House Burning Down. It's worth a listen.